There's just something so charming about seeing a villain pour his tea and the wind takes it and it splashes into his villain sidekick's face and then it splashes into his face as well. It's very obvious that we're not dealing with the average villains anymore. They're very charming and very different from everything that has come thus far. When you really take a moment to look at La Brava and Gentle Criminal, it really just speaks for itself. They are definitely something that reminds you of classical cartoons, classical villains, classic comics. That's what they remind you of, honestly. It reminds me of villains you could see from Magic Kaito as well. And I really appreciate these two villains for that very reason. It really shakes things up, stuff that we haven't actually seen prior to this arc. But before I go any further, though, I just firstly want to say thank you to everyone that supported the video I uploaded earlier this week. Without you guys, honestly, I don't think that the message would have gotten as loud as it did. We actually managed to reach trending on social media for at least the United States. I don't know if it got any larger because I went to sleep at the time, but at the very least when I saw it, it was trending, which is just, it's really nice to see. It really goes to show that our community has a loud voice, and it definitely, and hopefully it reached Horikoshi where he saw it and he was able to probably have a smile like, you know, not everybody is against him. So just shout out to all of you guys that did the hashtag We Support You Horikoshi. It just, without you guys, it probably wouldn't have been possible. Or actually, it wouldn't have been possible. Correction. So yeah, just, good on all of us. Just good on all of you guys out there for doing it. So anyways, let's get right into it. Obviously, I want to talk about the two villains introduced at the end, because honestly, I've been waiting for them for a very long time, and I'm not gonna lie to you, anime-onlys. Gentle Criminal and La Brava are probably my favorite villain characters of this story. Now, I know that is kind of like, wait, why? Why would you say that? Because, I mean, you have great characters like Overhaul villain characters, or you have someone like Stain, etc. You know, there's some really good standouts amongst villains, basically, throughout this story. But the reason why I love Gentle and La Brava so much is because their very essence, what they give off, is something so radically different that we have not seen before from the series, and it's really refreshing. It's just a nice, refreshing take on villains within a story, and if you're someone that's like me or many others that read this when it first came out in the manga, that, you know, grew up on, let's say, Saturday morning cartoons or read comics, etc., then you're going to be reminded of this type of villain. It honestly reminds me a lot of Team Rocket. If you've ever watched, you know, Pokemon, then you know for a fact who I'm talking about. You know, Team Rocket blasting off again and all that stuff. It's just, La Brava and Gentle kind of remind you of that dynamic, the way they act. They're very quirky, the way they look is very, just, I love the design of the characters. La Brava really pops, and so does Gentle, and I just appreciate how Horikoshi really wanted to go in. But also on top of that, it's something that really strikes a chord with me personally because of what Gentle is doing. He is a professional content creator. He creates YouTube videos. That's right, he does. Now, to clarify how this is obvious, I mean, the episode shows that he's being recorded by La Brava, they're making a video, etc., but we also see how he was on a video site and the police were watching him, so we know for a fact that he's pretty much a YouTuber. So Horikoshi is basically implementing YouTubers within his story, and I know many might not care too much about this or relate to a certain extent, but the reason why I like this is because it adds more to the world building. Is that it's not just about heroes and villains, etc. There's more going on within this world than meets the eye. You know, people are watching YouTube videos. Most likely their form of entertainment is very similar to today's entertainment. For instance, going on YouTube or internet, etc., watching things, and it's just little things like this that really add more to a story that you never thought was possible. So I like that, and I just love how Gentle is using video to be able to kind of spread his message. So that gets into the next part. What is Gentle's message? What is going on? Well, obviously, since this is our first introduction, I want to leave it up to the anime-onlys to form their own conclusions. I'm not really going to talk about it too much, because it will be revealed later on, and I will dive in deeper into it when more information comes out. But for now, though, Gentle, obviously, he does have something about him that isn't like the same as a typical villain. He even mentions that he doesn't care about the money. He just wants his name to be known. And it's just like, okay, so you're wanting to be known, but you don't care about the money, so what's going on here? Why do you want your name to be known? What message are you trying to send out there? Are you just someone that's egotistical, wants to, be noticed? Are you someone that's like a narcissist, etc.? There's a lot of questions you could form from his overall introduction. But like I said, I'll leave it up to anime onlys to kind of figure that one out. So anyways, La Brava and Gentle's relationship. I firstly want to clarify a few things before I go any further, because I know some will be very confused on if La Brava is, let's say, of age, etc. La Brava is over 20. I believe she's like 21, 22 years old. She's just very short. So I just want to clarify that for anyone that is aware. It's not a spoiler. It's just, I know when this came out within the manga, there was a lot of speculation wondering what's going on here. Is La Brava like a middle schooler or whatever, a high schooler? We didn't really know, and eventually it came out that she was exactly 21 years old, but I just want to spare you guys the headache or whatever. She is 21 years old, and yeah, so anyways, let's get right into it though. This episode was charming in a lot of different ways besides Gentle and La Brava. We have a festival coming up, a school festival that is happening within this arc. Now, it really holds a lot of themes because of what it represents. You see, ever since the beginning of the story, UA has been under constant attack by villains. When you think about it, the origin, like the first season, and then second season, third season, etc., they've been constantly under fire by villains. Like, first season, you have it to where Shigaraki pops up with his Nomu, All Might has to step in and fight. Second season, Stain pops up and causes a lot of havoc, and a bunch of UA students get into trouble as well. And then you have the third season with the whole, ordeal with All Might, UA, All for One, and then other students like Bakugo, etc., that was pulled into it. So, I mean, there's been a lot of eyes on UA, and there's been a lot of stress put on the student body, because after the aftermath of Season 3 with what happened to All Might and All for One, all the students were forced to go into dorms. They were supposed to be on campus now. They were no longer allowed to, let's just say, commute to school. They have to be there on the school premise because they're able to be safer because of that from villain attacks. So obviously, this puts a lot of pressure on, the average student. Like, example, let's not even factor in Izuku's class for a second, okay? Let's not factor them in. Everybody within the school, this school of UA, has to be in a dorm now. They literally have to be in a dorm now because of the actions of what happened to another class. And obviously, this is kind of like real life. People are going to be very upset. They're going to have anxiety. They're going to feel like they're separated from their loved ones. There's going to be a lot of issues because of that. Even people that are probably not a part of the hero course, that are part of other courses, etc., are going to be, in a dorm. So it puts a lot of pressure on the student body. They're very stressed out because of everything that's been going on. And this entire school festival is more along the lines to kind of unwind everyone throughout the school, and it's clear that the characters come up with an idea to kind of de-stress everyone. Basically, like, hey, instead of doing something that, that makes everybody else stressed, let's do something that can make everybody happy, make them smile, etc. And so they come up with some form of, music/dance, and you have it to where Jiro is a part of this, and she's going to be pulling other musical instruments, which is, I love her facial expression. I love the little, the ear plugs and all that, how she's, just tapping them together. It's overall cute. I love her character. I loved her for a long time now, but just seeing her within this arc and even animated, it's amazing. But, it's just clear that our characters are trying to do what's best for the entire student body, because their class has put a lot of pressure. Even if it's not their fault, they still have put a lot of pressure on the entirety of the school. So, with that out of the way, we need to talk about Eri. So Eri, we get to see her once again within this episode, and she is definitely not as, I guess, in a bad state as she was in the previous episode. She's kind of gotten over her fever, her power isn't acting out, and she gets to finally talk to Izuku and Togata. And she actually requests to meet Izuku, because she even states within this episode she didn't even know Izuku's name. She knew who Togata was because of his hero name, but she had no idea who Izuku was or what to call him, etc. So Izuku was called in, and they finally got to meet and have a conversation, etc. And Izuku gets a bright idea to kind of like, hey, let's invite Eri to the school festival. She'll be able to see things she's never seen before, be able to have candy apples, you know, just have all around good time. And it's a beautiful sequence, really, because it shows just how Eri is finally going to be able to do something happy, but it's also sad too, because she has been kind of distanced away from all this happiness for majority or her entire life. She hasn't really experienced the happiness that she is about to experience, most likely, because you have it to where she doesn't even really know how to smile. A girl her age, that young, doesn't know how to smile. That's kind of sad. When you really think about it, that is absolutely sad. A little girl not knowing how to smile. That's insane. But then it goes even further as well. You can see the visible markings all over her body after what Overhaul did to her, and those obviously are never going to heal. It's truly sad to see just the aftermath of what Overhaul did. And no matter what Eri does, most likely, no matter how long time passes, she's probably never fully 100% gonna shake off the effects of what Overhaul has done to her. He has caused her so much mental and physical harm that Eri's probably never going to fully recover, like 100%. Even if she's 99% and she's clear as crystal, clear as day, etc., she's probably never gonna be fully over what has happened within her past. You just don't get over stuff like that, and it's just sad to see. But at the same time, I appreciate the writing just to see how Horikoshi is showing that just because the villain is gone and over doesn't mean that his effects of what he's caused on society and people is gone as well. So yeah, it's another point to Horikoshi when it comes to his writing. So, anything else to really cover? I guess, let's see, the other little mini details to really get into, I guess, is the cutesy moments, obviously, or just the picking out of the school festival. You know, all the members of the class, obviously, wanted to choose something. They all had some amazing ideas, like Maid Cafe, there was someone at a study session, you know, you had it to where they wanted a hero quiz, that was Izuku. There was a lot of, you know, big brain ideas that was thrown out, and it really just goes to show the dynamic of the class and how they're able to get along, and this is another little detail that I really appreciate from this arc, and I think many anime-onlys are going to really appreciate as well, is that when it comes to these type of series, like shonen series, you don't normally see a lot of side characters given spotlight. I mean, every so often you do, of course, but most of the time, it's always the MC or the main 2 to 3 characters of that said story. For instance, let's say Izuku, Bakugo, Todoroki. You don't normally get to see any development of other characters, but it's very clear that Horikoshi wanted to make this arc very different from previous. He wanted to focus on other characters like Aoyama. He wanted us to focus on Jiro. You know, Togata's gotten a lot of development. You know, we've had a lot of side characters throughout this arc and even last arc with Kirishima get development, and it's nice to see the school and the classmates interact with each other and actually feel human. They mesh together, and it doesn't feel like they're forced friendships, etc. They really do get along and have fun in their spare time when they're not doing classwork or hero work. They're just chilling and having a good time. But okay, I want to leave it at that, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.